Ahoy, Buccaneer, Buckaholics, and Scallywags, and welcome to another episode of The Plunder. Please help me welcome my dude, my executive producer and co-host, BucDad. How you doing, brother?
I don't know, man. It's been a fun week.
I heard, man. It's been a
It's
real
been a
fun
fun week, man. You know what? Football is great. It's Lost Lane weekend for those that understand, and if you know, you know.
sir.
But I mean, having a boy, shit,
Don't get no better.
That's a high you ain't getting over.
I'll tell you what. Well, check it out. On this week's show, everybody, what we're going to do is we're going to reveal the Plunder's Power 10, which is my version of a power ranking. We're also going to break down the week 2 matchup where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went into Motor City and came out with the dub in an unconvincing fashion, an unethical fashion, and we'll get into that. We'll also be discussing the eligibility on first-year eligible Aqib Talib to see if he can get in the Hall of Fame. We'll also preview the Week 3 matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So strap in, get your focus glasses on, because the Plunder is about to set sail.
All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Welcome aboard the Black Pearl. I got a job to do.
What's up, man?
Me too.
How you doing, man? It's been a great week, brother. And for me, it's been a crazy few weeks. Which you like, if you know, you know. For me, it's been a crazy few weeks. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had a good time. I have learned a lot. I'm back down in the Tampa Bay area, and honestly, I can't wait to get things going. You know, a big part of what's going on in my life as I'm transitioning from the Panhandle to Tampa, and I'm moving right next door to the Buccaneers. And what that's going to do is give me a little bit more access to a lot of the information that we're going to see. This week, we're going to actually break down week 2 win against the Detroit Lions. Now, for me, what that was a really weird and crazy thing. I want to run some stats over, and these are the team stats from the end of the game. And when I say this, and I'm going over these stats, what you're looking at are two teams that played, and on the stat line, bro. I don't know if you checked out the stat line, Buck Dad, but if you would have showed me the stat line without showing me the teams, I would have bet $100 that the away team got their asses kicked, right? That's not the way it worked. The
Yeah, I
tough,
was gonna say, man. You look at the stat sheet, you wouldn't have thought the game turned out the way it was.
no, what that tells anybody that knows the game of football is game planning, execution, and defense were the key to that win. Period.
Yeah,
Into this. And that in itself goes way back to the beginning of the preseason when these coaches and this staff was trying to get these players prepared. And I'm going to say this much. That was evidence of probably the best preparation that I've seen in a long time by the coaching staff for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because we got annihilated on the stat line. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up with 216 total yards. I'm going to say that one more time. 216 total yards. Now, that means Chris Godwin's 117 yards was 18 yards more than the rest of the teams it had combined, right? Now, you take into consideration on offense the sacks that Baker Mayfield took. I think the end of it, it looked like 5 in the game, but I think the official number was 4.5 sacks by Aiden Hutchinson, which was an absolute dominant performance.
I was gonna say, bro. Aiden Hutchinson went ape shit on that man. Like,
Dude,
I know we didn't talk about it because situations on both sides,
right.
so we didn't get the post game. But I'm gonna talk about this shit real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have never in my wildest dreams expected to see a right tackle get manhandled by a single human being.
Like literally one
Like
guy.
like Aiden Hutchinson dog walked the fuck, and pardon my French, but dog walked Justin Scully all the way to Baker 4.5 times. And you know what? I still believe it was 5, but I know the official stat sheet says 4.5, so we're gonna ride 4.5.
Right. Well,
But that's all I got to say.
to get back to what we ended up getting, I mean, look, it was a huge team win. The defense really executed on defense, and personally, looking back throughout a lot of the replays and some of the guys that we follow and some of the guys that we're incorporated with, it brought out, one of the biggest keys to that game was second-year linebacker Servassier Dennis. Played like an animal in the second half. He made a bunch of key plays that prevented the ball being moved downfield, prevented touchdowns. But getting back to the stat line, 146 passing yards total by Baker Mayfield, right? That's insane considering we won. When we won 20-16, the rushing yards were 70. Baker Mayfield actually had the team lead in rush yards. Yards per
Let's
play.
talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, let's do that because
Let's
that was.
let's talk about Mr. Sweet Feet right there.
Yeah, let's do that.
We knew what kind of a runner Baker was, man, but he has proven that he has grown and matured.
Right.
Because we had talked about it plenty, in the past with his turnovers and his play style. And Cleveland was at times considered reckless.
Right.
I know we had talked about it, and others alluded to it. Remember his time in Carolina after he got traded, after Deshaun Watson. Got traded from Cleveland to Carolina. Was playing with the scout team before he went to the Rams.
Yeah.
And then bet on himself, and we know how that turned out. What I'm getting at is, man, let me just say, seeing him extend with his legs instead of forcing the ball was everything.
Yeah, no
The
doubt.
fact that he's been able to read these defenses the way he has is phenomenal. And that interception, he knew damn well he was in the wrong for it. And I will say that was on him.
Yeah, that was a bad throw, without a question. Without a question. Now, what I saw, look, let's point some out. After the game, one of the reporters actually noted, fun fact, stat of the day, Baker Mayfield's longest touchdown run is 11 yards. And when I say that, that actually surprised me because, again, he's not Jameis Winston, who can be mobile but looks like a giraffe with a broken toe. But he's not, a Lamar Jackson even close. But let's you wanted to talk about it. Let me bring this up and ask you about this. Have you noticed the escapability from Baker Mayfield in the pocket when he's being pressured this year compared to last? What have you noticed in that? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I have seen a drastic change in his ability to not take a sack and not only get out of the sack, but he's also gaining substantial yards on these scrambles.
I was going to say, one of the things I'm noticing is I feel like he's able to play more free. I feel under Canales, he condensed them, bro. Like, you didn't see this type of play from Baker till the third, fourth quarter sometimes.
Yes.
This is, I think that I don't really want to throw stones, but look what's going on in Carolina with Dave Canales.
Oh, yeah.
I get it, not my quarterback, but I don't think Bryce Young is. I don't think
he's that bad.
Yeah, like, I don't think he's under Andy Dalton, preferably, but that's not our team, not our problem. My point is, you're seeing Baker play more fluid, more confident.
Yes.
That's one thing you're hearing a lot between the media, teammates, and the interviews, radio personnel, those close to the Bucs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It is his leadership, his comfortability, and he's playing with that confidence that you haven't seen in the last couple of years.
Yes, yes, he is. And I think one, you can, well, some people argue, well, Canellis was in his first year. Look, so is Cohen, right? But I think the familiarity and the
Yeah, hang on though. Time out. You want to let me pause you. Keep that thought.
yep,
Dave Canellis was in his first year. Was well enough to get a fucking head coaching job in Carolina, right?
you got to think about who hired him. David
I
Camp,
don't. Yeah, I get it. I get everything that surrounds it.
like,
But if we're gonna make that argument,
look,
good enough to get a head coach
you know,
of a dumpster fire.
I don't believe he deserved that job. The
Come
only
on, bro.
guy,
You really think I'm talking like I believe he deserved it?
no, I'm just stating it. I'm just stating a fact. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to
Oh,
say
I
it.
was about to say, bro. I don't do not mistake what I'm saying
Sure.
for ignorance.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody's that is listening, because we know we can kind of say things and we understand what the meaning is, but I want to make sure everybody understands my opinion. Derek ManicBuc Stevens is Dave Canellis did not do enough to deserve that job. But again, just I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna end it on this: the Panthers organization is a shitty run organization, and I'm done. Now,
Okay, let me say my piece to it then, and I'm gonna go heel turn.
yes,
Baker came from Carolina at one point. Carolina reject.
yep,
He came to Tampa. Dave
mm-hmm.
Canellis don't deserve that job. Why did he get that job? Baker motherfucking Mayfield.
Mayfield,
Now,
absolutely,
we're going to say that he got that job because Baker Mayfield wanted to send him to Carolina and tell the team that didn't believe in him, here, this coordinator ain't good enough either. Let me get a real one. Liam Cohen entered the chat room.
absolutely.
And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm fucking with Liam Cohen's offense right now. Yes, we look good, but I like the way we look.
Dude,
We haven't. This reminds me of Dirk Cutter type offense, but more fluid.
Right. Hold on just a second. Trying to adjust my camera real quick. All right. So getting back to the stats real quick. Listen, the third down efficiency. The Buccaneers were 3 of 10, people. 3 of 10. That is horrible on third down. Now, let me say that. To say that the offense ran crappy is not well. People have to realize that the Lions defense. Coach Campbell is new. If Coach Campbell's still on the field, I'm just saying. The sacks, remember the sacks going back to the Rams sacks? Can't hear me. Oh, 1 second.
No, you absolutely got real quiet for a minute.
There we go. I got it. You there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. But going back to it,
back to what you were saying.
2 of 10. I misread that. 2 of 10 on third down efficiencies, which is horrible. And talking about, 2 of 10 and listening to all these stats, you would think the offense played crappy. That is not accurate. The Lions defense was phenomenal. And it started off in the first quarter with Aiden Hutchinson getting 3 of his 4.5 sacks in the very first 10 minutes of the game, people. There's no bullshit in that. There was like 5 minutes and some change left, and this guy got his 3rd sack of the quarter of the game. It was ridiculous. Now, you can obviously tell he got 1.5 sacks throughout the remainder of the game in the last three quarters. So, they did a little bit to kind of aid Justin Skule, who was coming in for Luke Goedeke, who looks to be out again for concussion protocol for week 3 coming into the Denver Broncos game. The punts, each team, the Bucs punted 5 times. The Lions punted 2 times. Now, the Lions also had 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers by one Zion McCullum, who I think Christian Izzian. I want to no Zion McCullum got the first interception in the first quarter. About 7 minutes in, he picked off Jared Goff. In the fourth quarter, it was Christian Izzian who was in to replace the Antoine Winfield, who was probably suspect to not play again this week. But after the play of Christian Izzian this past week at the Detroit Lions, I'm super, super, super comfortable with him coming in and playing for another week, especially against Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos offense. So all in all, it was a 20-16 victory where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a rematch, win against the conference foe who actually ousted them out of the playoffs last year. And I just want to bring up one note. Watching NFL Network this past week, they brought up a graphic, okay, where I'm talking everybody on this graphic, all 10 people, C. Wolf, MJD, A. Frank, A. DeFranks, B. Bucky Brooks, Eric Gordon, D. Freeman, Eric Heldon, K. Shooks, and K. Patera. Every one of those those people picked the Detroit Lions to win. What I want everybody to keep doing is allowing the national media and all these people to continue to sleep on our Buccaneers. And I promise you, the crew will continuously.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to say, let's talk about that for a second, bro. Let's talk about the fact that the beginning of that hype video that the Bucs had put out, straight up, was them saying, "We see y'all." And I took a photo of it as well, and I sent it to you guys in the group chat.
Yep.
One person had our back, bro, and Alex Smith.
Yep.
That just tells you, man. And you know what? Let me just say, overall, defense, for being down what we were down, held their own, bro. Like, they deserve a lot more credit than shit. But yes, there's still gaps. That is a depleted defense to an extent right now.
Well, let's go.
And we gotta
let everybody know you had Antoine Winfield Jr. out, you had Kalijah Cansey out, you had Logan Hall out. In the third quarter, you lost Vita Vea. You also had Josh Hayes out. Now, Zion was cleared the day before the game, but let me tell you what, all those names on a defense facing the kind of team that we faced, oh my geez,
Ryan McCollum found out the day of the game he was dressing.
Yeah. He was cleared from concussion protocol on Saturday, but he found out he was going to dress on Sunday. Sure did. Absolutely correct. So, in my opinion, what the Week 2 game proves to me is the coaching staff has got these players ready. That gives me confidence moving into this week, and it's going to give me confidence moving in, week in and week out. What it also gives me is this team is on a mission. They're loving all this, hate and all this shade that everybody's throwing. You've got, I can't remember whether it was NFL Network or ESPN made the top 10 ranking. Bro, you had 5 one-loss teams. 5, I counted them. 5 one-loss teams ranked above the Buccaneers. Unbelievable. Because from my understanding from a power ranking, it's what are you doing for me right now? It's not what you did last year and what we expect from you. It's what are you doing for me right now?
Yeah, but see, here's my thing, man, is you got all those one-loss teams above us.
Yep.
Look at the quarterbacks. I showed you the stat, or I showed you that photo earlier.
Yep.
From ESPN.
Yep.
And it tells you everything. They do not believe Baker can maintain because they believe he's had a hot start. Bro, they've already said it. He is third. He has thrown the third most touchdown passes since Thanksgiving last year. 3. He's got the third most TDs since last season.
Really?
With 33.
Did not know that.
Like,
that was a big stat. That was interesting.
I believe one of the people, Dak, and I think it was Jordan Love, if I'm correct, with the other name over him. I thought Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, the only 2 quarterbacks that were over him at that moment, if I am correct.
Yeah.
But I do remember it was third most with 33. Bro, that
Yeah,
tells you everything you need to know, man.
no doubt. No doubt.
Like, I'm all right with the interception. Like, yes, you could take that back. He even knows about it. He said it. Like, there's an accountability with him these days that this is the. I always called him the white Jameis Winston. So if I'm going to compare him to Jameis in the past, if I had to say anything that makes him different from Jameis, when he takes the accountability, it's there.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
works on fixing it, bro. Like he's the ultimate teammate. I know we could talk about the whole Gerald McCoy conversation on the podcast. Yes, eating W's and all that shit. It shows you how that locker room was built at that moment.
Yeah, without a question.
But look
Well,
at what they have right now, man. Like we weren't supposed to be in this position when Tom Brady left. Point blank, period.
no.
Our choices were Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel we hit a home run.
Oh, no doubt. I think we hit a grand slam with this cat. You know,
Like,
I
if
think
this
Baker
tells you,
Mayfield is built for this kind of team and this kind of culture.
agreed,
Period.
agreed.
I think it's a marriage made in heaven. And if I have my say, and if I suspect the way things will roll out over the next 2.5 years, I believe Baker Mayfield could get another contract potentially. Potentially.
It's too early to talk about that.
But yeah, look,
But look, man, if he can continue playing the way he's playing and everything, I am not opposed to looking at you 2, 3 years from now and going, "Hey, man, he's playing. He's still playing lights out, bro. He got paid again. Continued to produce. He did X, Y, Z since then. Why don't we give him? Why don't we give him that little bit? Why don't we make him that dude?
right.
Brand him that guy. Like take that Tom Brady stamp away.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you basically bypassed his legacy. If in this time frame, if he can bypass Brady in the record books as well in Tampa
That's going to be
and
ridiculous.
Tampa's record books,
That's ridiculous.
if he can bypass Tom Brady and Tampa's franchise record books, bro, you give Baker Mayfield the motherfucking keys to the kingdom.
Oh, no doubt. Without a question.
And that is then that is not now, not next year, not 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Right.
That is no, bro, that is our 5-year plan. You want Baker Mayfield here in 5 years. If he continues playing the way he's playing,
Right.
and he can continue to do great things and turn this into a whole nother world. And bro, he brings the Super Bowl. Go ahead. Hey, go ahead.
Go ahead. If he
Just-
wins a chip in the next 3 years, go ahead and extend him a year or two. That's what I'd do. That'd be me. But that's only me. Now,
Hey, you know what, bro? I would find ways to give him a couple extra incentives at that point.
yeah, you can give him at that point when you restructure, you can give him incentives, break down the cash out up front for the Buccaneers to aid to have more money, to bring in a couple of extra players, because you're also talking the potential of maybe a Chris Godwin being gone. You're also talking about the potential in 2 years, maybe Mike Evans retires. We don't know these things, but
I believe deep down in the bottom of my heart, bro, Mike retires a Buc.
Yeah, I think he retires a Buc, but I personally believe this could be his last contract, depending on how the next few years go. But that being said,
Hey, you know what? I think if he flips Jerry Rice's record,
I think he's done.
I think he retires.
I agree. At the end of that contract that he's under, when he breaks Jerry Rice's record, and especially if he wins another chip. Come on, if he wins a chip this year and the next
Bro, I tell you right. Listen. If he wins another chip and he stays second place to Jerry Rice, arguably first ballot Hall of Famer.
And see, we were talking.
If he doesn't win another chip, and he breaks Jerry Rice's record of 11 straight, you give him first ballot.
I
If
agree.
he does both,
Yes,
if he does both,
100% agree.
bro, fuck a bronze statue, bro. You gotta have that man dipped in platinum.
No doubt.
At that point, bro, it's platinum Mike Evans.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, listen, before we move on to the next topic, I want to make sure to give a plug. Hey, guys, if you want to make sure you follow the Plunder, you can reach me on all social media platforms at the Plunder 2023. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on TikTok. I'm also on Twitter, excuse me. You can find BucDad over here at Real88. That's REELEIGHTY number 8. All right, now what we're going to talk about, moving away from our Week 2 victory, is Aqib Talib from a pewter red and white uniform to a gold jacket. Now, that's an interesting concept because my opinion isn't like everybody else's and your opinion isn't like mine, et cetera, et cetera. What's your first thought when I say Aqib Talib is eligible this year for the first time to get into the Hall of Fame? What are your thoughts behind that statement?
You know what? Straight simple fact. Bro, I remember this dude at Kansas went from being a troubled athlete in his time with Tampa. He had off-field issues that hampered him. That's why we got rid of him.
Right.
Nothing wrong, and I'm not shitting on him because bro was fucking good.
He was elite.
I would simmer down there, Tonto.
I think he was elite.
No, not yet. Not yet. He was just becoming what he was.
Well, yeah.
Dude,
at the time,
hang on. Dude went and did his thing. Got released. Got picked up by New England.
Yeah.
Won a fucking Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Let me say that again. Got released by the Bucs. Got picked up by the Patriots. Won a Super Bowl.
Which is a very common thing when Buccaneer players leave.
Then, not only did he win that Super Bowl, bro, he stayed there. And I do believe he won. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he stayed there. I do believe
he had 2 seasons with New England and he won one Super Bowl in his career.
Yeah.
He missed that Bowl in Denver.
Huh?
He was playing for the Rams when Denver actually won their Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's when the trade happened.
It happened.
New England went to Denver and then got traded.
The year after he left, they won.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually retired. He actually played for 5 teams. Tampa Bay from 2008 to 2012. The Patriots 2012, 2013. He played for the Denver Broncos 2014 to 2017. He then played for the Rams 2018 and 2019 and then was traded to the Dolphins and retired a Dolphin. He won a Super Bowl.
I didn't realize he went to Miami.
Yeah, he was injured most of the time, and that's probably why he ended his career. In 2019, he was a part of Super Bowl 50 and won that championship. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2016. He was a second-team All-Pro in 2013, a 5-time Pro Bowler between 2013 and 2017. He won the Jack Tatum Trophy in 2007, which was from the college ranks. He was a net All-American in 2007. He was a 2-time first-team All-Big 12 at Kansas in 2006, 2007. Now, his career stats, total tackles, he has 462 tackles. Total pass deflections, 125. Total interceptions, 35. He had 5 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries. He had 10 touchdowns. I'm going to say that one more time because that number stuck out to me when I looked at his stats. A cornerback had 10 in 11 years. He had 10 touchdowns, not 10 interceptions. This dude averaged a fucking touchdown damn near every year he played.
Yeah, you know it's crazy. You remember? You know what made me realize that we got rid of him?
Mm.
The year that we played the Patriots, and he intercepted Josh McCown,
Josh McCown.
and I stopped and said, "Wait, when the hell did we get him? Like, when did we lose him? When did they get him?"
So when, I mean, like, if you had a vote, how would you vote, man? Does he go in first?
Is he okay? I'm voting to keep Talib. Does he make it right now?
Now, we're not comparing him to anybody else's sub. That's not what we're
No,
doing.
no, no, no. I'm giving Akeem Talib flowers on his own to be his own man as a Hall of Famer.
Right.
First ballot Hall of Famer? No.
Okay.
I believe you had, and I will compare him for 1 second.
Okay.
You're not Shane Bailey. You're not Rod Woodson. You're not Darren Woodson. You're not Charles Woodson.
Okay.
You're not Darrell Revis. Yes, you were a good corner, but the elite corners really do stick on in one team. I mean, look at Sherman, bro. He spent a lot of time in that elite status
And they're not only
right
elite
there in Seattle.
career mostly.
When Sherman went to San Fran, he wasn't worth it. I mean, I'm not gonna say he wasn't worth the damn. He was still Richard Sherman, but he had definitely lost a step after his Achilles issue.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, before his Achilles issue. And then the Achilles issue happened. We lost him. And then, look at how he panned out at the end. He knew his time was up.
Yeah.
Where I'm getting at is, yes, Aqib Talib does get to go into the Hall of Fame, but it is not going to be this year. Not if Rondé had to wait as long as he did.
Right. Okay. Now let me build off of you.
And in my opinion, bro, the reason I end with that, Rondé changed the way a lot of cornerbacks were looked at.
Yeah.
Aqib Talib did. He was just a cornerback that was put in the right position for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Now,
yes, he was a good corner. I will not default it, but he was not the best person on the defense. He was not the best corner in those defenses that he was a part of. In Denver, it was still I believe it was Chris Harris.
Chris Harris. And Chris Harris is a dog. Now, let me bounce off of you. I was a huge fan and always have been a huge fan from the day he brought into the league. I'm obviously not a Kansas Jayhawk fan, but I followed college football, and I was like, wow. So when we got him, I was super stoked. His weakness was zone defense. He was a mother effer on man-to-man coverage. He was tall. He was lanky. And he was quick. He wasn't fast, but he was quick. But his weakness was zone defense. He got burnt a lot if he was playing a zone and was expecting help and didn't learn how to fade with the offensive skilled position player. So from that perspective, now we were talking about and I used the word elite. I wanted to clarify because I made it that way earlier. He was an elite cornerback by the time he retired. Was he elite through most of his career? No. I think in the middle chunk of his career, the middle 6 years, he was elite. I believe when he was with New England and Denver, he became elite in those years. And then the Rams, he wasn't really great with the Rams, but he wasn't horrible at the same time. Wait. No, he didn't win with New England. He won with L.A.
Yeah.
Not New England,
No,
LA.
he was a part. He was there the year that New England went to the Super Bowl, and that was the year they lost.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was at the
That
David.
was the year they got. That was the second ass whooping by the Giants.
Okay. So he did go to two, but he only won one. Okay. Now, to agree with you, I believe in the next 3 years he should be in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I agree with you. I have to. I don't like saying it because you always want to give flowers to the guys that played for you and showed your team loyalty. And he was a good guy. He was never a shitbag. He was good to the fans. He was always good to me.
Hang on, time out. He may have been good to the fans, but you cannot say he was not a shitbag. The reason he was let go was his off-field conduct, like getting arrested.
When I say that, I'm talking on the field.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, and I'm
was-
gonna bounce off what Vernon's saying in the comments, bro. Aqib Talib was a beast. Yes. And Vernon, and I know you came back in afterwards. I'm gonna say this again. Aqib Talib, when he was with Tampa, was becoming one of the best, bro. He was coming into his own in a way. The off-field issues dampered that. Had he had been able to keep that shit at bay and keep it in check, bro, what we've seen in Denver, what we started to see in New England when he got signed, but New England, Denver, bro, we've seen an animal. What we've seen in LA when he was partnered with Ramsey in that time frame, bro, they were animals. Like they were legit duos. Like he's not a bad corner, but he's not first ballot. 5 or 6 years burning, and yes, he'll be Hall of Fame.
I mean, just to go ahead and classify some of the off-field issues before we move on to the other topic, so everybody that's watching the show knows, he was actually, I mean, and this was the only incident in Tampa, but I want to say Corey Boyd was his name. He got in a fight with his rookie year. He got into a fight with that. In Dallas, he was claimed to have been shot in the leg, was released from the hospital the same day, and later it came out that he had falsified the report and actually shot his damn self. And those are just a couple of the things that he run into. If you want to go search for it, you can search his name and figure it out. But in the end, the question boils down to what the topic is, and I have to support your opinion, and I have to agree with you, and I have to follow suit with you. He is definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now,
no, and like I said, I'm not saying he's not at all.
Absolutely,
not one bit, bro. I do believe Aqib Talib deserves the flowers that he's earned. I mean, like we both said, dude was a solid ass player.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, moving on. This week, we're going to reveal something new. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's called the Plunder's Power 10, and it's going to be my weekly version of a power ranking. Now, what I did is it took me like 3 hours to build this ranking. So I didn't just throw the teams together because they were undefeated and all this. It was figuring out what position they needed to be in and what they've done, who they've faced, how good I assessed, how good these opponents were and things like that. And I feel very confident with this list. So we'll start from number 10 and work our way down. I'll make a very key point. There is only one 1-1 team on this list. Every other team on this list is an undefeated 2-0 team. At number 10, Kyler Murray, Maserati Marv, and the Arizona Cardinals. They have played a very rugged style of football in the first 2 weeks. They've grinded games out. And I believe with the weapons they have and what you're looking at, and James Conner's no fluke. James Conner's a good, solid back. I think he's not your bell cow type back, but I believe if you put another good running back in with James Conner, their running game is really going to produce well.
I was going to say, James Conner, I mean, not to say he's not a bell cow back, bro, but he was put in Pittsburgh during that time frame, if you remember, the whole Le'Veon Bell situation. They needed that workhorse for the offense, and he did well, bro. I got him in fantasy.
Yes.
I'm going to say this. We're not jumping into any fantasy news, but James Conner's worth a damn. So don't sleep on that offense. So I like where you're at with that, number 10.
Yeah. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. Look, Geno Smith, I'm a huge fan of Geno Smith in the last few years. The way he's dogged his way from being the guy in New York, the Jets being New York, and, being, having that being a failed portion of his career because whether you want to say it or not, the kid had talent when he came to the Jets, but I think that organization was a dumpster fire, when he was drafted. They've got a lot of young talent out there on defense, and they've got a lot of young talent out there on offense. They're definitely, you got to talk DK Metcalf, Kenny Walker the third, what's that cat's name on I can't remember the other wide receiver's name, but dude's both monsters. Like him and Metcalf are like twin tower houses. They're very tall, they're very speedy receivers, and Geno Smith can sling the shit out of a football. Okay, now they're not the no-fly zone defense, the Legion of Boom per se, excuse me, but they've got a really decent defense. Again, they're young on defense, so that really you gotta have patience with that team. And sometimes they're gonna falter when they don't need to. But as of right now, they've played well and they've won 2 games out of the 2 games they've started. So they have to be in the Plunder's Power 10. Why? Because I'm going to assess you and reward you for what you're doing for me now. Not what my expectations are for you, not what my quarterback's name is. It's what have you done this season up to this point. That's how I'm going to make these rankings.
I was going to say, man, if you're going to talk it like that, Geno Smith making his name known for, top quarterbacks.
Yes. Now, number 8. The Falcons. I have the Atlanta Falcons who barely pulled out Monday. They pulled a win out Monday against the Phillies. Let me rephrase that. Back that up. The reason I almost made them 9, but I honestly have more long-term faith in the team as a whole to be a lot more competitive than the Seattle Seahawks. But what happened on Monday night could have very well put the Falcons at 1-1. Late in the fourth quarter, less than a minute to go, the Eagles are up. They're about ready to close the game out. Saquon Barkley has played phenomenal for the Philadelphia Eagles up to this point. They get the ball out. He runs out to the flat. Jalen Hurts throws a perfect loft right into the breadbasket.
Look, bro, do we really got to continue talking about it? That completely fucked me in fantasy. Because, look, man, we ain't talked about it. I lost to you last week. I lost to Trevor this week. And had Saquon had scored, bro, that shit would have put me ahead.
You would have won? Oh, man.
I would have beat him. So now I got to listen to the 2 jackasses on Friday on heel turn tell me how they're beating me so far in fantasy the first 2 weeks.
I'll make sure to hold that until Friday. Then I won't hold it against you this week. So, but that catch was right in his breadbasket, and that was literally one of the only mistakes I saw Saquon Barkley make this year. But it gave Kirk Cousins another chance to do exactly what Atlanta brought him for, was to close games out, because that's something Ritter couldn't do last year when they were being very competitive as a football team. So the Falcons ended up going down there in 3 plays, getting to the 11-yard line, and then driving on an out route, scoring a touchdown to a Drake
London.
Yeah, and that was the ball game. So I have the Falcons at number 8. At number 7, I have the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers are playing good ball. Somebody that's also playing good ball on that team is not named Herbert. His name is J.K. Dobbins. The dude is running the ball like a Mack truck right now, bro.
Yes, sir. That's helping my fantasy as well.
J.K. Dobbins looks like he did before he even made it to Baltimore when he was in college. The reason why they drafted him where he did. J.K. Dobbins is running like an animal, and I think this year could be a big-time year for J.K. Dobbins for him to revive his career. At number 6, I have the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Baker Mayfield Dalton, who might play himself.
Oh, hell no. You better change that man's name. I'll smack you through this phone.
Look, I mentioned that. The reason why I say that, I mentioned that a few weeks ago. Could Sam Darnold do the same thing Baker Mayfield did with the Buccaneers last year. Now, I understand that Baker Mayfield came on as a starting quarterback and he actually beat out Kyle Trask. But what happened was J.J. McCarthy was drafted.
No, I get where you're going at with it. Sam Darnold is the 1-year rental.
I
He's
agree.
putting out solid tape for his next job.
Oh, yeah.
Baker didn't get the opportunity to put out solid tape due to an injury like that. He got 4 weeks on 2 days preparation
Absolutely.
to do what got him a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yes, definitely.
This isn't that type. But I agree with where you're going at.
Right.
If he can play solid, he's going to play his way to a new team.
And they got
new team,
the playoff.
if they make him that starter, yes, he maybe very well could do what Baker Mayfield has done.
Yes.
But
And
I'm not sold on it. But I like your put with Minnesota where they're at.
Right. Now at number 5, I have the New Orleans Saints. They have played really good ball. Now, week 1, they played Carolina. You know, it's really not a big surprise. Last week, you kind of expected them to either A, have a tough time winning, or B, take a loss. They went into Dallas and beat the ever-loving Dallas Cowboy blue shit off of those fuckers' uniforms. It was unbelievable. They doubled up on the Dallas Cowboys, and that in itself was surprising. Not the fact that the offense struggled to play, but the defense really looked shitty out there in Dallas, and that says a lot early on in the season when the Cowboys have been a fantastic team during the regular season. They just spent a butt ton of money, almost $1 billion, paying 3 guys, and they come out and get dog walked by Derek Carr in the new. No, they wasn't even Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara could not be stopped in that game, bro. He could not be stopped. That defense had no answer for Alvin Kamara. And they're 2-0. They're playing hot right now, so you got to give them their flowers a little bit. I tried not to. I wanted to drop them down to 9-10 with the Falcons just because, but I really couldn't do it. I gotta keep my emotions out of it a little bit. Speaking of keeping my emotions out of it a little bit, at number 4, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have the Buccaneers listed on the power rankings at number 4 for this reason. Week 1, we played the Washington Commanders, and we played lights out, without a question. Baker Mayfield, if the season was ended and determined off of 1, Baker Mayfield would not only be an All-Pro, he would be the MVP, and he would probably be the most valuable offensive player of the year. Okay, he threw 276 yards, had 4 touchdowns, and he played fantastic. And again, the growth and development from him, taking a sack or maybe, just barely getting out of the pocket from last year to this year and things like that have aided him in the system. The defense is playing lights out. 2 weeks in a row, we've held both teams to under the league average of 24.5 points. That's the league average of scores for any team. We've held them. And that being said, we've not only held teams under that mark, but we've done it very shorthanded. We've walked into Ray J limping on defense. We walked into Motor City limping on defense, and we still outperformed these offenses that we were facing. At number 3, I have the Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills. You would really thought, we talked about this a few weeks back before the season started, we really were questioning the ability of that offense and whether they were going to perform or not. And I mentioned one guy's name, James Cook. That dude is running like his pants are on fire in his ass, dude. He is fantastic this year. Not only that, the defense is really playing well. Josh Allen is having a shaky start compared to what you're usually seeing him at, but go ahead and remember, he doesn't have Stephon Diggs, and he doesn't have Gabe Davis. So he's playing with a couple of young players and a couple of new players. He's got Curtis Samuel out there. He's got a rookie, Keon Coleman from Florida State out there. So I think by the middle of the season, week 6 or week 7, we're going to start to see that offense get a little bit more fluid. So what I'm saying there is I kind of expect the Buffalo Bills to be exactly who they've been in the last few years. They're going to replace Stephon Diggs. Let me rephrase that. They're going to put another player in the position Stephon Diggs was in, because I don't think it's that easy to replace Stephon Diggs. But right now, they're number 3 on my list. Number 2, led by second-year quarterback C.J. Stroud, the Houston Texans are my number 2 team on this week's power ranking. And look, they got speaking of Stephon Diggs, they took Stephon Diggs and put him over there. Nico Collins is playing great. Tank Dell's playing great. They also got Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals. And let's not leave out the defense over there, who is led by DeMeco Ryan. And that defense is really playing lights out the same way the Buccaneers defense is. So I really expect them to continue to maintain their momentum for the next few weeks. And they're not really injury prone. And of course, look, they're 2-0. They're also Super Bowl champions. I got to be logical about this. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are your number one team on the power rankings, and I feel you cannot put any other team above them until they're dethroned. I'm that guy. If you won the championship last year and you come in and you've rolled everybody that sat in front of you so far, you're on top. And until you're dethroned, you should stay on top. That's just the way I got it. So everybody, what I want you to do is make sure to look out. After the show, I'm going to post the graphic of the Plunder's Power 10, and I would like for you to comment below that in that post and tell me what your Power 10 would be versus mine. If you agree, give me a shout out, give me a thumbs up, let me know you like it. But other than that, I really appreciate you guys, and I want to make sure to say this one more time. The Buccaneers are number 4. They're not number 1. We don't want the limelight on us. We want people to keep doubting us, because when we come out there and crack your heads, we want to have that satisfaction. Me as a player, and I'm promising you, the players, or me as a fan, and I promise you the players are feeling the same way. They don't want all that attention on them, you know? So, that being said, I think this is the part of the show, BucDad, where you take over.
All right, man. So we already got football going on this week, but I'm gonna give you everything you need to know for our Plunder Week 3 picks, along with how I believe your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are gonna do bet-wise, and how all of that is gonna look.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So right now I got the Jets beating New England in this affair tonight. Your 1 o'clock games, I got Indianapolis going over Chicago. I think Anthony Richardson is going to get the best of the Chicago defense. I'm still not sold on Chicago's offense as of right now. Caleb Williams being one of the rookies that has yet to throw a passing touchdown. I do believe he does get it done this week. He gets one, but it's not going to be the one that beats Indy. I got Tampa Bay over the Denver Broncos. Once again, that rookie Bo Nix is going to get eaten alive. And and fantasy owners, by the way, bro, if I were y'all, get rid of Cortland Sutton. It's not the week to have that man in your lineup against Tampa's defense. They are not the greatest. But whatever happened to Bo Nix right now, this offense isn't it. And Vernon, to answer your question, I had my son on Tuesday, so I haven't really spent much time with doing the plunder. What we're doing right now with the parlay playing is a little shortened version. So this is what you're getting. I'm giving you my picks right now live. I just didn't do a post, and that being the reason. Now, stepping over, I got the Tennessee Titans over the Green Bay Packers. The Minnesota Vikings are going to fall to the Houston Texans at home. Sam Darnold's going to have a fun game, bro. But thank you, my man. So Minnesota and Houston, that's going to be a high scoring game. If I were a betting person, bro, you better jump on that over under as an over. And I'll get into that later on at pregame if y'all want to. I got the Steelers beating the Chargers. I got Cleveland beating the Giants because everybody's beating the Giants the last 2 weeks and even last season. Daniel Jones' experiment's falling, bro. It's falling. It's failing. Now, there you got New Orleans in that power ranking. I think Philly's gonna knock them down a little bit. Just to give you a heads up. I think Philly knocks them down a little bit. I got the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Carolina Panthers because just like the New York Giants, everybody's beating up on the Carolina Panthers. I got the Seahawks beating the Miami Dolphins because without Tua, I had to sit Tyreek Hill because I don't know if Skylar Thompson is going to be able to really get it done against that Seattle defense. I got Baltimore beating Dallas because, like everybody else, Dallas is getting that ass whooped too. You know, you the boys. I got the Derek. Turn your sound off, bitch. Now, I got the Detroit Lions beating the Arizona Cardinals. I got the San Francisco 49ers beating the LA Rams. The Kansas City Chiefs beating the Atlanta Falcons. The Buffalo Bills over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Cincinnati Bengals over the Washington Commanders. That being said, like I said, we're doing this a little bit different. I went ahead and put a bet in on Hard Rock Bet. If you have them picks that I just said, throw $5 down, man, you're gonna win a little over $4,000. I'm gonna say that again. You run with those picks that I got, and you drop $5, you're gonna win a little over $4,000. Now, moving to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side, when they face the Denver Broncos. Let me backtrack. Your 1 p.m. games. If you bet those on the 1 p.m. slots, which is your Chicago Bears, your the Bears and Colts, Broncos and Bucs, Packers, Titans, Texans, Vikings, Chargers, Steelers, Giants, Cleveland, Philly, Taints, then you are going to win $36 if you put down $1. I'm a cheap ass, bro. We really only bet $1 around here. And your 4 o'clock games, obviously, you can kind of figure out the rest where your 2 Monday games are at, your 1 Sunday night game. Take the remainder of what we haven't said. Your 4 p.m. games, throw $1 down. Again, cheap ass, $8.30. Now, back to what I was about to say. Go bet on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. I'm just saying it. Where I'm betting, I got Rachaad White scoring a touchdown at any point. It does not matter if it's passing or rushing or receiving or rushing. Evans and Chris Godwin getting receiving touchdowns. I got Baker Mayfield twice. I got him on the over under on his passing yards. I got him going over 246 yards. I got him going over 1.5 touchdowns. Denver Broncos side though, I got Bo Nix going over half a touchdown. I see him throwing one. I'm not going to deny the young man that one passing touchdown. And I do see him throwing at least 188 yards against us. Is he going to blow us out? Fuck no. He could. You know how we do with rookies. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I mean, if you do that, you throw $1 in, man, you get like $30 back. That is all I have for parlay or playing.
So what you're saying is basically because I have 5 Buccaneers in most of my fantasy teams, I'm going to beat everybody's ass this week.
I mean, depending on how what players they are, and how they do.
I got. Listen, in 3 of my 4 leagues, I've got Baker, Godwin, White, and either Otten or McLaughlin, the kicker, in 3 out of 4 of my rosters. So the other
I
one,
mean, okay, so hey, I got a question. I put Tua on IR, and I need to pick up somebody for the time being. So I pick up Roman Duze or Jerry Judy.
who's your backup quarterback?
Tua right now.
No,
He'll be
no,
all right. Hey, I'm gonna put him on IR
right.
for right now. I am going to run with. Let me run it back real quick. I'm running with Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Okay.
That's the team I got. That's our league. That's the team I got.
So Roma Dunze and who?
Jerry Judy.
Roma Dunze, without a question. Now,
Okay.
Roma Dunze was a little banged up last week, and you might want to
Yeah,
keep.
I know. That's my thing. Is I'm not gonna start him. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna kind of have him there as like my other flex option. Come, depending on what I need.
Now, what you could have done, but I kind of beat you to the punch, was because Isaiah Pacheco is now put on IR because he had a fractured tibula, wasn't it?
I haven't really
Tibula.
kept
It
up
was
on it.
bones. He has a fractured leg bone, so he's going to be put on IR. He's going to be out a minimum of 4 weeks. So guess who the Kansas City Chiefs went and picked up? This happened on, I want to say Wednesday when they signed him. Tuesday night, I'm reading the reports and I'm looking at the free agent running backs, and I said, wait a minute. Kareem Hunt. He's sitting right there. Guess who they're going to go sign? Kareem Hunt. You know what my ass did? I put in a request to sign his ass. I got him in on 2 of my fantasy teams to replace Pacheco. And let me say this: the reason why I did that, he's a plug and play player in Kansas City, bar none. End of story. He's going to come in and fill that gap up. He might take the first game. I wouldn't start him this week, and I might not start him next week. But in his 3rd and 4th week, you can really have so much less risk signing him. So if you haven't, and he's out there right now, and you might be looking for a backup or a good flex spot over week 4, 5, and 6, Kareem Hunt will be a good guy to go with.
I was gonna say. So I mean, the only other injuries I got is my other team. I had to put Debo Samuel down for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's out. But look, if you put Debo Samuels down for a minute, Jawan Jennings.
Yo, so hey, how's this for my other team? Baker, Saquon, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Isaiah Likely is my tight end, Travis Etienne is my flex, Chase McLaughlin, and think, I think I'm gonna run with the Commanders' defense this week.
That's not a bad roster, even though you might have, seen, you're not going to see anybody talk about him because he's Mike Evans, but Mike Evans has kind of flown under the radar in the first 2 weeks combined. But I say that to say that it's because Chris Godwin is taking the lead. He is playing for.
Hey, you know what, bro? I think I'm all right with that though, because if you really sit back and digest it, is there really anything in the negative that's going on with it?
No.
Like Chris is taking snaps right now. He's getting reps. He's getting catches.
Yep.
Like you really think Mike's sitting there going, man, what the fuck? You know damn well, bro. Mr. 1,000 yards is just sitting there going, all right, just when the time comes, give me the damn ball.
And look, there's plenty of time for this guy to get 1,000 yards. There's 17 games in a year. So he only has to average 75 yards a game to be able to make.
And I was going to say, I mean, at that point, it's not like you need to stress it. You think Mike is trying to get banged up?
No, I think that's a good thing for us long term later on in the season. When later on in the season, as we've looked over the schedule for the Buccaneers specifically, it's going to be a great ending to the season as far as what you would suspect for us to face. Our toughest battles are in the middle of the season. Those middle 6 or 7 games in the middle of the season are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' toughest section of our schedule. So I am completely okay with that. I think he's still going to get his 1,000 yards. But I also think that a lot of this has to do with the system right now that the Bucs are in, bro.
And I agree. I mean, right now, maybe it does call for Chris to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, if
It brings
for some reason we need Mike to be that home run threat the way he needs to be, all right. I think Liam Cohen's being smart, and I think Baker is being smart. He's not aiming at Mike to get all the receptions because you don't need to get your dude all banged up.
No, not only that, he's taking what the defense gives him, man.
Yeah, and hey, he's even stated it. If Mike said, bro, if they one-on-one with Mike, he's throwing it. If it ain't one-on-one with Mike, and they got they got shadow stuff like that, Baker's being smart. I said it. I said it earlier in the show. The one thing that Baker's done this year has been consistently good with being careful with the ball, bro. He's being smart. He's playing smart football.
I heard an analyst talk about Baker and use the word cerebral. And if you don't know what that means
I'm all right with it.
His brain is on overdrive because I think he's shown he's making really fast, really difficult, good choices this year. Outside of that interception, which was his only mistake this year, and to be honest, I take that back. That interception, and not in the beginning of the game last week, making adjustments with Aiden Hutchinson, because at the end of the day, like you said earlier, he's been given the reins to that offense. The offense is his. So when he comes to that line and they break the huddle and they come to that line, no matter what play, it's up to Liam Cohen to make adjustments per play, and it's also up to Baker in that moment to see that Justin School, who is a backup for a reason, playing against an elite pass rusher all alone in single coverage, you got to make those adjustments and continuously move over and protect yourself, because in the end, it's going to hurt the team if he doesn't do that. And I think they did that in the second half, after the second quarter. So now what we're going to do now is take a little small break, and we're going to come back to finish up the show real quick. So thank you, and check us out.
We ain't playing waterfront, put that ass off. Do it like them dirty South boys doing stuff. Watch I keep the club pump, I'ma make them stop. We ain't playing waterfront, put that ass off. Do it like them dirty South boys doing stuff. Yeah, where you from, who the where you from, who the boss? Let me break them off. Yeah, where you from, who the boss? I'ma break them off. Where you from, who the boss? Let me break them off. Yeah, where you from, who the boss? I'ma break them off.
Hey, man, I love this content we've been putting out, brother. Let me tell you what. Now, what we're going to do now is give a quick shout out to one of our newest partners, and that is GOAT TV, run by Matt Grisham. And if you've been in Buck Nation for a little while, you know who Grish is. He's a very great guy, and he's a very trustworthy guy. But what he's doing is actually offering an IPTV program, and that is something that a lot of people are getting away from cable. And, you know, if you want to watch football and you're like me, you're absolutely nuts for pewter and red, but you love the game of football, or, you know, or college football to that extent. What IPTV is a internet run TV package where the NFL is back. So don't pay over $400 for your YouTube TV and Sunday ticket. Private message Matt Grisham. I will go back to each share and each live stream where this live is, and I will tag Matt Grisham if it's not already done by BucDad. Okay, you reach out to him for $45 a month. You get over 9,000 TV channels, 27,000 movies, and every series ever made, plus all content on Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Apple TV, and more. Make sure to give him the code, the Plunder 23. Your first month will be $25, and every month after that will be $45. And this is a per TV activation program. So make sure if you've got any questions to message him and ask him about it. He's got all the information. So join the wave of Americans cutting the cord to bring yourself to entertainment freedom. Now,
what is your keyword for them again? Go ahead and spit it out.
Plunder 23. The Plunder 23. No periods, no space. When you want it, you're interested in this, you send this code to him and say, hey, I'm interested in this IPTV package. He'll give you all the details for it. All you have to do is have internet. You can even do it on your phone from an Android device or an Apple device. It will cost you $25 your first month. And again, I'm going to give you the numbers. 9,000 TV channels, 27,000 movies, and almost every series made for TV, not to exclude the Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, HBO, Paramount, and Apple Plus, and more of those streaming apps that you really can cut the price down on what you're doing. You think about it. If it's just you and your spouse, you can get one, you can get two. The different prices as you add TVs onto your account. Say, when I say TVs, meaning when I order one from him and I pay for the $25, what I'm doing is getting one screen per payment for that $25. Just like some of these others. I think Netflix, you get like 2 or 3, and then after 2 or 3 TVs, you have to upgrade to pay more to be able to have access to more TVs where they're playing simultaneously. So if you've got any questions, make sure to reach out to Matt Grisham. And if you're interested in getting it, make sure you save yourself some money on that first month and give him the code ThePlunder23. You got any questions about it even more? Feel free to DM me, DM BucDad. We're very familiar with this package. We've done business. I've used IPTV for years. I haven't paid cable for years, and I fantastically love it. If you got your TV instead of on your phone, check this out. You can literally watch 4 games at one time, just like the NFL Sunday Ticket does. And not to mention NBA, hockey for your Tampa Bay Lightning fans. You got baseball for your Devil Ray fans. They show it all, guys. So check him out. Look into it at minimum, because I promise you won't be dissatisfied. Now, moving on, what we're going to do now is talk about the Week 3 matchup where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are host to the Denver Broncos and a familiar foe in Coach Sean Payton, who has annoyingly over his career been a thorn in the side of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. Now, let's go back to what we've already discussed what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did this past week on offense and on defense. So let's take a little look-see at what the Denver Broncos did. Now, one of the things that a lot of people might have heard about or saw about the Denver Broncos was a question made to Bo Nix. Late in the game, he threw an interception. And it was in his end zone, so it could have been a score, whether it had been a field goal or a touchdown. A reporter asked him post-game, can you tell us what was going through your head when you threw that ball? He said, I don't know. I got the snap, I dropped back, and threw it to the other team. That was it. To me,
My thought would have been,
what's that?
like, hearing that comment. So you're quarterback. You don't know what you did? Like, you're not paid to make decisions? I get it, man. He's a rookie. I'm not going to dog him, but come on, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
How are you? And I'm going to ask you something, because on our draft show, you were high on Bo Nix.
Yes, I am.
How does that make you feel hearing them words uttered from him?
Honestly, you know what? To bounce off of what you said, the quarterback has to have probably the most dignity, the most accountability, the most humility of any player on any roster. Okay. I don't think that is necessarily a horrible thing. It can be. You look back over the guy's career, he played as far as football, and a lot of people know him. He started off in Auburn. He left Auburn and went to, what was it, Oregon? Wasn't it? Oregon Ducks. Yeah. He played for the Oregon Ducks. Now, again, you want to say he's a great quarterback. Cool. the Oregon Ducks don't face great defenses. Now, at the same
I
time,
mean, I think, okay, before you go any further,
huh?
my assessment of Bo Nix, he's got a potential to be top 15 quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe even sneak top 10 every couple of years.
Right. I totally agree with you to one part. If they can keep Sean Payton for the next 3 to 4 years in Denver, and they've got him signed for a long time. But if they look, I hate Sean Payton, but with quarterbacks, I think he's a really great quarterback coach. And I think going back to what you just said, his skill and his potential, being Bo Nix, his ceiling's high. And he's very capable of reaching that ceiling. And again, being a top 15 quarterback, I think as a quarterback, that's all you got to be to have a solid team around you to be able to contend year in and year out for a Super Bowl. You don't have to have the best damn quarterback. Now, it doesn't help to have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who is elite, top tier every damn year, as using him as an example. There's many other quarterbacks out there that are elite quarterbacks. But just saying, if you could be a 10 to 15th ranked quarterback in this NFL and have a pretty solid team around you, you got the potential to challenge for a Super Bowl every year. And Sean Payton has actually won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a pain in the ass, and he's a pain in a thorn in the side of the Buccaneers. But all in all, let's go over a few of the stats that Bo Nix did have. He was 20 of 35. He threw 246 yards. He had an average of 7 yards per throw. He threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. He was sacked 2 times. Look, you want to hear a fun fact? Both teams this weekend, Tampa Bay and Denver, their quarterbacks led their teams in rushing yards. Bo Nix ran the ball 4 times for 25 yards, while Javonte Williams, Tyler Blade, and Jaleel McLaughlin actually had 15 yards or 15 carries, for about 41 yards. So there was no run game going on in that game as far as the Denver Broncos, which they were facing the Steelers. And if anybody knows anything about the Steelers, I'm 44 years old, and the one thing I know they've been known for 44 years is defense. Especially since Mike Tomlin's been there. Mike Tomlin is a coach that I also predicted he will have his first losing season this year. And so far, I've been eating my crow because the son of a gun is 2-0. No, he's 1-1. He's 1-1 with Justin Fields. And that's because Russ has been hurt. And if they win this weekend, and they maybe win because Justin Fields is going to start this weekend, there's a chance that they might even not start Russ this year. But moving back to the Denver Broncos, they had Josh Reynolds led the team in receiving yards with 93 receiving yards, while Lil Jordan Humphreys had 50 yards, Javonte Williams had 48, and Cortland Sutton, only had 1 catch for 26 yards. Now on defense, look, there's not a lot to clamor about when you're in a 13-6 game. It's a defensive game all the way around. But I think one of their biggest components is Zach Allen. Zach Allen is playing lights out. He just got a big contract in the offseason. And there's been a lot of talk about him coming into the season as an edge rusher. Listen, I said edge rusher, so listen again. We gave up 4.5 sacks this past week to an elite guy. You can guarantee that defensive coordinator is going to game plan to feast on that right side of the line, okay? So we've got to be ready because we're not even going to talk about the left side. That dude over there for the Buccaneers, he's got that. So I'm not stressed about that. Going into the run game, you have to be a little concerned with Rachaad White. He has flown under the radar. Last week, he actually injured his groin a little bit. He ended up coming back in the game. He was put on the injury report, but is likely to play. What we've also saw last week, and look, again, last week's run game was an offensive pass game was predicated a lot by the defensive scheme that we faced in Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions. But moving into this week, I'm along with you bringing back some of your info from Parlay or Plank. I think Baker Mayfield is going to have another lights out game, just like he did in week one. I believe now we're going to be out Vita Vea again. We're likely going to be out Winfield again. Um, I think Cansey is probably going to stay on the injury report. Um, but we've got Zion McCullough who's back, and Zion McCullough is literally playing like he's a number two cornerback. We talked about this in the preseason, and this was a big question mark coming into the season, how these young players on defense were going to step into some of these positions and really take over that role. Look, Christian Izien, before he even made the interception in the fourth quarter last week, he had calmed my nerves about having Winfield. Because, bro, you're talking about Kalijah Cansey's out, and now we're not getting sacks. We're not getting sacks, but we're putting pressure on the quarterback, but we're not getting sacks. That actually, as a matter of fact, the Christian Izien interception was an interception based off of pressure. Jared Goff wasn't able to really put his body and throwing motion completely into that throw, and he threw it completely down the middle of the field when his receivers went on the outside. So we're getting pressure on the quarterback, but we're not getting to him and putting him on the ground. There's been a couple of times where we have. I think we've gotten 2 sacks so far. One of them was JTS. JTS in week 1 had a strip sack against Jaden Daniels. So we talked about preparation earlier. There is no doubt in my mind that this coaching staff is not going to allow, after the first 2 weeks, the way the offense played in week 1 as well as the defense, and then moving into week 2, the way the defense played and the offense played well enough. I say that we didn't play well enough. We executed when we needed to. That was the key component on offense, the execution. When we had to have it, we went and got it. On defense, we were solid throughout the whole thing, and that really gives me a lot of confidence, even limping in back into Raymond James Stadium into week 3 on defense like we are. My biggest question mark this week, and I want you to respond to this and tell me if you know the answer. Where's Cade Otton? Because
I don't know.
I haven't seen him at all this year. He had one. If Baker would have lofted just a touch, put a little bit more touch down in the end zone, I think it was the second drive of the game.
I mean, he's definitely being targeted. He's there. I mean, but he's also doing his job. Maybe the game plan's not calling for him right now. But one thing that you mentioned about this week,
Yep,
is the way the matchup looks. You would think 2-0 we should walk in the way we're playing and go through. Now, Vernon brought something up.
okay.
This could be a trap game for the Bucs. We could be overlooking the Broncos. I would hope we don't. Because if there's any team that a rookie quarterback can showcase himself, Daniel Jones, it would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And wouldn't it just be a fucking Bucs life if we turn around and let Bo Nix have a fucking career day?
Yeah. We cannot overlook this team. And the reason why you say overlook, I want to give everybody a little info. Next week, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles coming into town, and then the week after that, we actually travel to the Atlanta Falcons. So
I would say, yeah, we got three division games within 3 weeks after. Well, I'm sorry, three division games within 4 weeks after this.
Yes. It's going to be this is, I think, when we play the Philadelphia team, when we play the next week, I want to say it's that week. We have the next 5 to 6 weeks, like I mentioned earlier in the show, are going to be our real tests. We're going to face a lot of teams in the middle of that pack. We've got those division games. You've got Philadelphia. You've also got Kansas City, and you've also in that big long stretch of really tough battles with the San Francisco 49ers, who right now are down 2 players. They're down Debo, and they're down Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey.
And if I'm correct, we do got Baltimore in that time frame as well, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right. Thank you. Definitely. Baltimore. We have the big games are division games. We got a lot of division games in the middle of the
I'm,
season. We've got
I
Baltimore.
think,
We
you know
got
what?
we've
This
got the
might be something that I have to tell you. This is a hell of a stretch of games right now, bro. Like for real, this is a stretch of games for the Bucks.
make sure
Now, if
I
we can come out of here above 500, you know what, bro? I think we'll be just fine because the back end of our schedules, I do believe favors us more.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look, the way we're playing, not just our record, you disregard the record. I mean, it has a little bit to do with it, but for me, the way we're playing, the scheme we've seen so far, and the way it's going to grow and develop as the season goes along, I feel very confident at 14-3 for my preseason prediction on our record. Even if we lose to San Francisco, we lose to Baltimore, we split with Atlanta, that means we beat the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, could Christian McCaffrey be back by then? Could Deebo Samuel? I think Deebo Samuel will definitely be back unless he aggravates his injury. And Christian McCaffrey's kind of give or take. He's on IR, so that means in the middle of early to the middle of the season, anybody on IR, you got to miss at least 4 games. So he's out at least 4 games. He could be out 6 weeks. He could be out 8 weeks. We don't know. I don't really know the extent of his injury. But as of right now, we've got the toughest portion of the schedule coming up. And you cannot take the Denver Broncos lightly because of Sean Payton. It's not that rookie quarterback. It's Sean Payton. Sean Payton will have a game plan. He's very familiar with the Buccaneers, players specifically, because this team has really been together for quite a while. Outside of some of the newer guys being added year in and year out, this team's foundation has been here for a while. And Sean Payton was in New Orleans for a long time. So he's very familiar with the organization. He's very familiar with Todd Bowles. And of course, nobody's really familiar with Liam Cohen, but still, in the end, this could be, agreed, Vernon, a trap game. So we got to keep an eye on that. There's no doubt about that. I actually have the Buccaneers winning 38-17. What's your prediction?
You know what? Stay tuned for Sunday. I'll give you my prediction.
Fair enough. Sunday on the pregame show. And remember, all game day content will be a part of the Plunders crew. So if you're not in the group, send me a comment, send me a DM, let me know. I'll get you an invite out. I'm sharing invites every day, trying to bring people in the group. There's going to be exclusive content brought to the Plunders crew. Number one, the game day content, my pre-show, my post-game shows, if we run post-game shows, all in the moment game, real-time updates on the game. Big plays, I'll post big plays. I'll also have a synopsis at the end of the game if I don't run a post-game show. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you join the group and you get exclusive content. We actually run a Plunders Pick'em in there. So, let me know if you're not a part of that and you want to be a part of that. All right, what we got next is another thing we're going to bring to you every week, and it's pretty fun because, one of the cool things, I'm a historian by nature. I love history. And just like many of the people that's going to watch this video and this live, you love your Buccaneers. So what we're going to do is bring trivia to the Plunder. This week, the Plunder's Trivia is brought to you by Bucs Life and Scott Bradford. Now, the first person that answers in the comments of one of the videos, it'll be timestamped, so we'll know exactly when it happened, we'll get a special surprise from me. I've got a few items. You've hit it, you find it, and I'll let you know. If nobody answers on the pregame show on Sunday, I'll reveal the answer. So the trivia question is, before Warren Sapp, who was the last player before him to wear number 99? Real quick, do you have a guess?
4-1 SAP 99. Can't really think of it right offhand.
Dude, for me, I know the answer and I'm not going to participate. When I saw the answer, I was like, huh? Really? Okay. I was stumped. And look, when I say this, if you've ever been to a Buccaneer game and you've been capable of catching one of the tailgates, the What the Buck tailgate put on by What the Buck organization, who do a lot for the community. They one of their major charities is What the Buck Really Matters. And they do a lot. Like 99% of their funds from their tailgates go to the community, and that's one of the reasons I like going to tailgates like that. I only go to tailgates that charge. I don't want you to pay. I don't want to pay for your food. What are you going to do with that money? They really give back to the community, and that's, for me, that's very important. I'm a traditional old school dude. So being able to reach out to your community and put back into it when you've taken from it is such a great thing. And you follow these superstars that play in the NFL: Mike Evans, Levante David. As a matter of fact, Mike Evans has a bowling tournament coming up in October that he puts on. Levante David, who I just ran into the other night going into McDonald's, pretty cool moment for me. I've got like 50 pictures of the guy. He's probably one of my top five Buccaneers of all time. But that was really important for me. But Scott Bradford has some of the most in-depth, unbelievably brain-twisting trivia questions about the Buccaneers I've ever heard. So when I was trying to think of something cool to bring to the show, I was like, what can I do? And I'm like, that's one of the things I thought about. I'm like, you know what? Let me reach out to this guy, because he's going to come up with something off the wall. And I promise you, 90% of the questions I'm not even going to know the answer to, because even as a historian in nature and even of the game, like, I'm a student of the game, but like, wow, some of this stuff is like back in the corner under the big pile of clothes in the closet, in the dark closet that has no light. That's where these questions and answers are. So it's pretty fun. Now, just to give you a quick update on what's going on, we're fixing to go into the segment of the show called The Other 31. Right now on Prime, or if you were using GOAT TV, you'd have it available for you right there through Matt Grisham. So make sure to reach out. Your code is ThePlunder23, and that'll give you a $25 head start on your first month of the package. You can note that right now the New York Jets are over the Patriots 14-3 with about just under 4 minutes left to go in the second quarter. A lot of the news this week is not big. I want to talk about two things. One, we touched on it earlier. Bryce Young was benched coming out of his week 2 loss in his second year, first year under Dave Canellis, for Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket. And let me say this about Andy Dalton. After about year number 6 or 7 with that guy, he was middle of the pack to subpar as far as quarterback. He didn't have
But hang on. What is that? Again, I brought it up earlier. What does that tell you about Dave Canellis?
I don't think he knows what the fuck he's doing.
Like, he had no idea what he was doing with Baker. Baker did his thing. Now look, he's fucking up Bryce Young's career.
Yeah, and look, if you've paid attention to social media, there's a lot of players out there that are saying, I mean, I'm talking players, and when I say something like that, like, these players may play for different teams, but they're still a tight-knit family. Like, they really support, 90% of them support one another in these things outside of that 60 minutes of that game, because they're all in this together. They all grind, most of their lives to get where they're at. Nobody's gifted except Mitchell Trubisky with an opportunity in the NFL. Okay. And I say that very jokingly, but I really believe in the right system. And look, they got a good set of talent out there. That team is not devoid of talent whatsoever. They've got a decent young nucleus. Now, will it show prosperous overnight? No. But on the other hand, dude, I think you all but destroy this fucking kid's confidence. by doing that. You've got to let him work himself out of the hole. But hopefully, he goes in, has practice. Dalton comes in this week. I don't know how long this is going to last, and I suspect it'll last a couple of weeks at minimum. But I really feel, and a lot of it's going to depend on how fluid the offense is going to move, because if you're Dave Canellis and you bench this guy, all right, and you throw Andy Dalton in there, and your team still looks like shit, you look like an idiot. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Right.
But at the same token, man, like Vernon even points it out, Andy Dalton will look good for like a week or two. But if it doesn't work out, is it a quarterback problem or is it a head coach problem? Because again, we alluded to it earlier. Look who the fuck hired Dave Canellis, man. Look who owns the dumpster fire in Carolina.
Yeah.
The team that was in the Super Bowl not long ago. The team that was giving us a run for the money every week, bro. Yeah, I get it, Cam Newton, Steve Smith. But think of the team that they were. And look at them now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of the two other keynotes from this week, I want to point out, just because I love when the Saints have something bad happen to them, or the Panthers or the Falcons. And coincidentally, I just talked about the Carolina Panthers. So let's bring in a little news from the New Orleans Saints. This is kind of a funny thing for me. And I saw the replay and I thought it was hilarious. NFL fines Derek Carr for doing the Michael Jackson TD dance. And if anybody knows anything about Michael Jackson, one of the most famous poses he does is this little spin, and he throws his hand up and he grabs his junk and he yokes on his junk. Well, as you know, the No Fun League, I think it's a little petty for this one, but he was, I want to see, let me see what he was fined. It doesn't say. $14,069. He wasn't flagged for the celebration, which was funny because in Monday night's game, Drake London scored the game-winning touchdown, and he does, acts like he's shooting a machine gun off of the air.
Well, if you wanna bring that up, they did throw the flag.
Yeah.
They did throw the flag. I think the NFL is doing better with these flags this year.
Yeah.
I will first off give it the flowers. 2 weeks in the book, bro. They seem to have had it figured out a little bit more.
Right. Now, something else I wanted to talk about real quick about the other 32 before we bring the show to an end. Last week, you had the Dallas Cowboys get doubled up on by the New Orleans Saints. You had the Baltimore Ravens 0-2 lose last week. You also had the 49ers lose last week to the Minnesota Vikings. You also almost had the Philadelphia Eagles lose. You had the Cowboys lost, the Lions lost, the 49ers lost. The Browns beat the Jaguars. The Raiders, were the ones that beat the Raiders. The Chiefs barely skidded by the Bengals, and then the Broncos lost against the Steelers, and then the Texans ended up beating the Bears. And then, of course, we mentioned it earlier, Falcons barely were able to allow the Philadelphia Eagles to gift them the damn win. So, look, when I say that to say this. Guys, turn your TV on. Watch these games. You can't predict a damn thing to be right every week, I promise you. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. And that's a part of the reason why it was noted earlier in the show. We can't overlook, as the Buccaneers, the Denver Broncos. There's just no way we can do it, because if we're focused on Philadelphia next week and Atlanta the week after, Sean Payton and Bo Nix are going to have their way with the Buccaneers. There's no doubt about it. So, you got any closing remarks for the show for us tonight, BucDad?
No, not necessarily, man. Tune in tomorrow night to Heel Turn. I'm gonna say that because I want to talk a little bit of this bloodline and where it could be leading, and I also want to talk this Monday night with Jey Uso and the Terror Twins because I there's a lot that we got to digest. So tune in tomorrow night and then tune in Sunday for pregame.
Absolutely. Listen, before we get out of here, I want to give a big shout out to a couple of our affiliates, people who support us. They've supported us since day one. Actually, earlier, I want to shout out to you, Vernon. Vernon, you've been one of the most consistent, and I say this again, one of the most consistent fans that we've had here on the Plunder, as well as Heel Turn, formerly known as Pancakes and Power Bombs. I appreciate you guys, but somebody I want to shout out today is Me Sador and the Crew Roundtable, another Buccaneer podcast. They run on Sunday mornings. I want to say it's 10 o'clock on Sunday morning Eastern time. Make sure it's Me Sador, Misedor. He comes in, he's always commenting and he's shouting us out. And I want to do the same for him because I watch his show, I watch his product, I love his product. So big shout out to one of our affiliates, Misador. Another one of our affiliates is, speaking of Heel Turn, we're coinciding and I love this guy's content. Please check out JTV Wrestling on YouTube and Facebook. It's a really cool concept. They take the video game of WWE 2K, they create players, and these guys put on a produced show that's a really fun thing. It's really entertaining. So look out for them on Facebook, YouTube, and other websites. Until then, you will see us on the Plunder's Crew for the pregame show this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we will break down a little bit more of this week's matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Until next time, thank you, BucDad, for producing the show, pitching in. Thank you, audience. Remember, comment below if you know the answer to the trivia question. I'm going to give it to you real quick one more time. It is, before Warren Sapp, who was the last player to wear number 99. If you're watching any of the streams on YouTube, on Facebook, his streams, or the ones on my page, I will figure out who did it first, and I'll make sure to DM you and reach out to you. But until Sunday, have a great weekend. Enjoy Friday Night Football. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night to the Heel Turn at The Plunder 2023. You can find BucDad at Real88, ReeLeighty. We are out. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, one last thing.
Yeah.
All I got to say, yo, Tape B, show me how it's done and drop it.
I got a job to do.